Hey everybody, it's Max again. I wanted to take a minute to talk about the buyer's journey and how to think about the buyer's journey. I've worked with a lot of marketers in the past that have trouble kind of like wrapping their head around why to use this whole buyer's journey thing and how to kind of implement it into their own content strategy, and more so just to help like organize their way of thinking of what they should be doing as marketers when they're trying to position themselves to the public, to their prospects, however you want to think about it. I always like to explain it by thinking backwards from the very end of the buyer's journey. So if we think of the buyer's journey as awareness, consideration, and decision, those are the three stages. I think starting with the decision stage is kind of the best one to start with. And then what you can do is you can sort of like reverse layer your thinking of those previous steps to figure out like what you need to be doing during each step. So to kind of prove this point, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here. And what I'm going to do, because I truly believe every single business can do this. It's really just basic psychological physics when you really think about the buyer's journey. What I'm going to do is I found this like random just business type generator online. And what I'm going to try to do is just like pick a random type of business and see if we can go ahead and explain the buyer's journey within the context of this business, right? So here goes nothing. Let's see. So we got to select a sector. Let's see. We got a whole bunch of stuff. Accommodations, food services, information. Okay, there's a lot. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my mouse up and down a whole bunch, and I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to randomly click. What do we get? Okay, healthcare and social assistance. This should be interesting. So I'm going to go choose a subsector. We got ambulatory healthcare services, hospitals, nursing, residential care services, and social assistance. Let's see what we get. Close my eyes. All right, nursing and residential care facilities. So nursing care facilities, residential mental facilities, mental health. Okay, cool. All right, so let's use the example of like a, I guess a nursing home. We'll go with this, or maybe some sort of retirement community. So we'll go from that. I'm gonna go ahead and make my screen a little bit bigger here, and you're gonna watch me kind of talk through the buyer's journey backwards for a nursing home. Okay, cool. So let's think about the three different stages here. You have awareness, consideration, and decision. Let's start with decision, right? Let's think about what you're trying to do here. You are trying to sell either a nursing home living situation, or you're trying to sell some sort of residency at a retirement community or something along those lines, right? So at the end of the day, your biggest challenge is saying like, how do we stand out from our competitors, right? Why is my nursing care facility going to be better than the other nursing care facilities that you can choose from? Here's the thing with the buyer's journey though. You don't earn the right to tell someone why your facilities are better than another facilities if you haven't proven to them that a nursing home is the best solution to whatever their problem is. All right, so keep that in mind. I don't have the right to say my nursing home or my retirement community is better than this competitor's until I know for a fact, or I've convinced you that you have a problem that is best solved by putting a family member in a nursing home or a retirement community. All right, either for yourself or someone you know, or someone in your family. So the question is like, how do you actually convince them that a nursing home is the answer? Forget your nursing home. Forget your brand, your business. We have to convince people that a nursing home is the best way to solve their problem. Okay, so when we think about the consideration stage, what's happening is someone has identified that they have some sort of problem. But what you need to remember as a business is that there are indirect competitors that you have, which are different ways of solving that problem that your business solves for. And you need to convince that person that the way that you solve that problem is the best way to solve their problem before they can start stacking up brand names and you can talk about why you're the best at it, right? So if you think about a nursing home, for example, okay, some of the indirect competitors that you have to fight with during the consideration stage would be maybe at-home care, for instance, right? So when you think about the content that you create in the consideration stage, you know, once you've helped them identify some sort of problem, then you can start saying, well, hey, you have a couple of different ways to solve that problem. You can either choose to have in-home care. You can do nothing about the problem, or you can go to some sort of nursing home or some sort of retirement community, right? Those are three different ways to solve whatever problem you have. But the other thing you have to think about is you don't earn the right to tell someone how to solve a certain problem if you don't help them figure out what the problem is in the first place. That's the awareness stage. Okay, so we're building these like layers of earning the right, if you will, to be able to position the next step to somebody, right? Leading up to eventually positioning your brand. So when we think about the awareness stage for, content that a nursing home would create for the awareness stage, we have to think about like what's really, really important for their ideal customers, okay, that are doing some research that this would end up being helpful for. Now, this is actually a really good example because oftentimes you may think, okay, so the decision maker for someone for someone purchasing a product would be the CEO of a company, if you're like a B2B company, right? But what you need to remember is it's not always the CEO or the ultimate decision maker that's doing the research. Okay, so your buyer personas may be more tuned to the folks that are boots on the ground, that are experiencing some sort of problem that your product ultimately solves for. It may not be the decision maker, right? If we think about nursing care facilities, right, ultimately it's the decision of that person to go into that nursing care facility or to want to go to that retirement community, but they might not always be the person that's actually doing the research for it. It could be someone else that's experiencing that problem and trying to figure out the answer to it. So when we think about awareness stage for things like this, if it's a nursing care facility, maybe your content is not actually directed at the person who's going to stay at the nursing facility. It could be directed to like a family member, for instance, someone who's doing some research on, different things that, could be happening if they have a loved one who's getting old and having trouble getting around, maybe having trouble eating, having trouble sleeping, trying to figure out different ways to care for them on their own, right? And when they realize that's very difficult, maybe they don't have enough time, maybe they don't have the experience, maybe it's a very emotionally taxing process. I know it is. I've been there. They may start doing some more research on better ways to solve that problem. That's when they start considering their options. So things like putting a loved one in a nursing home or a retirement community, or maybe even, for instance, hiring someone to do at-home care. There's all these different ways to solve this problem. But the thing is, they never get to that step where they need to figure out different ways to solve their problem if you as the marketers don't help them realize what their problem is. Okay, so the whole lesson to pull away from this is that when you're thinking about your buyer's journey, start at the very end with the decision stage and say, what sort of right do we have to earn to position the next step for someone, and work backwards from it. And I think that'll help a lot of people think about the buyer's journey a little bit more holistically and start to think about the specific content they need to create to logically move people from step to step and go forward from there. So yeah, that was a pretty random example. I'm pretty confident that I'd be able to do that with like any sort of option that we see here. If anyone is struggling out there and they think the buyer's journey doesn't apply to their business, I challenge you to think a little bit harder about that, because I guarantee it does. If you're having a problem, go ahead and throw your business type or your product or service or whatever it is in the description, and I'm happy to help you out. But yeah, hope this was helpful for someone, and I'll see you in the next video.